Good morning, Barbados, and welcome to the Best of Morning Barbados 2024, Part 2, where we celebrate the highlights of an unforgettable year. I'm Tisha Hines, and as we gather on this special day on the cusp of a brand new year, it's the perfect time to reflect on the joys, stories, and shared moments that brought us together. With the warmth of the Yuletide season still in the air, we invite you to sit back, relax, and join us as we revisit more of the year's most inspiring, informative, and entertaining segments. Let's continue this festive journey with the theme of the next chapter. We started the year turning pages of inspiration with multilingual essayist, writer, and international law specialist, Dr. Richard A. Byron Cox, who shared the story of Pauline Bramble.
1800 is just before 1807 when the transatlantic slave trade was banned. And 1939, of course, is when the Second World War starts, right? So it covers the life of the English-speaking Caribbean, our people life during that time. Now, to write a book like this and to make it actually accurate takes a very, very long time. It's not just reading, but it's also sort of communicating with many people, historians. There are quite a few historians who helped me in terms of the facts and the figures, okay? But what I wanted to do was to translate all of that statistical history into living history as regards people's lives. So, for example, as we know, in the 1930s, from 1935 onward, there were riots across the English-speaking Caribbean, and which set up the Mornin Commission, okay, which led to the setting up of the Mornin Commission. And from that onwards, we saw the slow arrival of universal adult suffrage, which will then lead us up into independence. But all of that is just statistical data history. But actually, what happened with people's life? In other words, if you look at our history, you would see that if you were to read the making of the West Indies or pre-emancipation, for example, we are described, black people in this Caribbean of ours, are described as estate stock, not as human beings. So how in heaven's name do you move from estate stock to creating Garfield Sobers, or matter of fact, Mia Motley? How do you do that? How do you create a people who were estate stock and then would arrive to beat the whole world in cricket? You know what I mean? How do you move from estate stock to create Eric Williams, for that matter? How do you do that? What went into that? So, for example, Barbados fell under the suzerainty of Britain about 1625. And then in 1966, okay, the British government say, okay, you're free and go and develop yourself. After they have robbed you of everything. But yet, Barbados arrived on the stage and is one of the most educated countries in the whole world. And the present Prime Minister, Mia Motley, is on the world stage. And many see her as probably the most powerful woman alive today in politics. How do you do that? What went into that? You know, how much did you cry actually? How much sleepless nights? You know, as you know, Clark wrote a book, My Mother Who Fathered Me. Or let's take Lamin in The Castle of My Skin, where he covers all of that. Or, I don't know, if we want to take Metalizer and the children of Kewana, you know. Or the children of Sisyphus, for example. All of that tells the history of our people in a different way. What I try to do here now, or what I did here now, is to do two things. Firstly, to tell that story in a more in-depth human area so that you don't just look at numbers or figures, but you see people. But secondly, and more importantly, regardless of the challenge we face today, okay, we have faced so many challenges in the past and we overcome them. So the point here is a story of first and foremost inspiration.
All right, now
Okay.
you said this one is book one, and it
Yes.
took you 12 years
Yes.
to get here.
Yes.
You know, based on what you have down within these pages, you
Yes.
obviously see that there's much more
Yes.
for you to share. Will the story follow a natural chronology?
Yes.
As in, this one
Right.
comes up to the
Right.
early 19th century, and the next one
Yeah.
will be beyond that?
Okay, well, what happened is that if you look at this, the subtitle of the book is Book One, Springs, Blossom, and Young Thorns. So, in the life of this woman, you capture everybody's life. As I say, grandparents, great grandparents, and so on. But this is only her spring, meaning from when she was born until she's about 22, right? The second book is going to be the summer of her life,
All
which
right.
is which is when she now becomes like you, I wouldn't say mature, but a grown woman, okay? And then you're going to have the autumn of her life, when she truly becomes mature. And then you have the winter of her life, and I think you know how that ends.
Veteran Sunday school teacher Rosemary Herbert discussed her book, Nuggets for Kids, Fearless, a guide for children to explore faith through prayerful actions. This next lady, this is her very first book, but what's in it is nothing new to her. This is what she's been doing for many, many years, and what I dare say she loves to do. So welcome and good morning to Rosemary E. Herbert, author of this beautiful little book here called Nuggets for Kids. And this particular one in the series is called Fearless. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to have you here with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right,
a
now
pleasure.
before we even get into the book, let's start talking about how you got to this place. So you have been teaching Sunday school and working with children for a very long time. How did you get into being a Sunday school teacher?
Actually, I started when I was about 13, 14, and I had some very good mentors in the Sunday school I was attending at the time. And they taught me the ropes. And I remember there was also a senior lady in the church who used to go into the community teaching Sunday school in the evening, and she roped me along with her, and that kind of started my wings and into this process. And I have a love for children, and I have a love for breaking down the Word of God so that they can understand, and that's what started me in this process.
Through the years, you've also had a Sunday school type Christian organization for little ones as well?
Yes. At one point, I used to have a Bible club at my home. And then within more recent years, actually around 2019, I went out into one of the communities within St. Michael, and we started a children's Bible club there. And we used to have it on Sunday evenings at the pavilion. And children came however they were. And in that process, in that children's Bible club, that's kind of where I started to write stories to be able to explain the Word of God to the children a lot better.
What are some of the lessons that, immediately come to mind that you sought out to share with children that you're now looking to share in this book, Nuggets for Kids?
Actually, in this particular book, there are 8 stories, and each story has an element of fear. And I wanted children to understand that they don't need to be fearful for the particular situation that they're in. One of the stories is about bullying. And, in the story, we sought to help the child to overcome bullying. And not just the child who was being bullied, but those children who were bullying the child. We sought to help them. So the stories help the children to overcome whatever challenge that they're going through. Just that this particular series deals with all fear.
How did these 4 stories about being fearless come about?
8 stories. Some of them are a play on something that actually happened, where I embellished what took place. Actually, the first story is about a child being fearful for animals, and that child who was fearful for animals was me. I was afraid of dogs, so I embellished the story and roped in my experience into the story. Others are just fiction, stories that God gave me, and I just, expand on the idea that God had given me.
How long did it take you to pull these stories together?
Okay. As I said, I started around 2019 to write the stories, but then last October, November, I started to pull it into a book form. And let's say about May or so this year, the book was kind of completed.
And what was the process like from writing these stories to determining I'm going to make this a book?
Actually, I had some encouragement to make it a book because after writing the stories and sharing them with my peers at church, one of them encouraged me and pushed me and prodded me and poked me to, go ahead and take that leap of faith and write the book. And then I had some assistance from one of my in-laws who has already written a book, and she was able to guide me along the path as to, okay, so you need to change it from the passive tone of voice to the active tone of voice. And she was really a great inspiration to me in making this thing happen. And then there was the editors, back and forth with the editors and trying to make sure that your grammar is correct, the layout is correct, the pictures are, in the right position and stuff like that. So it was a good process, and I really did enjoy it.
We also had entrepreneur Tonia Lovell on to share the magic of her Christmas coloring books and the inspiration behind them. We're talking about these this Christmas themed coloring book,
Right.
that you're presenting. But it all started somewhere. So take us on this journey.
Okay, so I started doing content last year. I enjoy, I love entertaining. So I've been entertaining for a while, and I decided to start content, and I wanted to do something a bit more tangible. I suffer with depression. I've been very honest about that online and on my journey, and I also suffer with anxiety. During COVID, I had some very low points, and I recognized that one of the things I loved doing, which was reading, I could not focus to do anymore. I went to therapy, and my therapist said that I should start to color. At first I thought it was a bit childish, but I saw online videos of people coloring and, made like a lot of fanciness. So I started to buy the affirmation coloring books, and I started doing it, and I recognized that it was amazing. I could color for hours. So as I said, it's something that I have a passion for, and because I love Christmas so much, with the content that I was doing, I decided to do my own kind of fusey too. So I decided to do a coloring book. I launched last year with Little Miss Christmas, which is me, growing up in Barbados, doing a lot of things that we would do as we grew up. Traditions, like going on the beach, how we used to drive around, look at the lights and stuff like that. That is what I started with. So this was my first book that I launched last year, which was Little Miss Christmas coloring book, and it did pretty well, right? That's where I started.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So this year, I wanted to go a little bit further, and I came up with the Not So Little Miss Christmas. So this is me on my journey. I'm not so little anymore, growing up, and this is me, my first time traveling to the U.S. during the Christmas holidays. The book also has in, I don't know if you remember the old airport with the kiosk and stuff like that.
Of course.
Yes.
We love to be able to, the people used to be waving. You could watch them go up the plane steps.
Even my mom taking me, because she had never traveled. This year was her first time traveling, actually.
Wow.
But I remember my mom actually taking me to the plane. I don't know if you remember those days when people could actually take you to the plane.
I don't know about those days.
I don't know if I'm remembering this as one of those memories that I created, but I remember when you could actually look through the holes and shake at people. And
yeah, I remember that part. But walking somebody to the plane, not so. What I remember most is when you traveled, like whatever you could fit in that suitcase, you could carry with you.
So there is a picture that I have. I don't know if you guys, well, I know I did send a video. You can take a look at it here, with the mounting of stuff that you had to take with you when you traveled.
Look at that.
So you had to take sweetbread. I know now people probably still do, or maybe they don't. I don't anymore. You had to take fish. You had to take sweetbread, cheese, all those different things. Mobby, all those different things.
Yes.
So this is what I wanted
Biscuits.
to bring some
Bottles
life.
of fruity, juicy.
All those things you had to travel with.
Yep.
Even though sometimes you could probably get them in the U.S., you had to put them into your little valise, as I call it.
Not a valise. I'm loving it. So Christmas memories and authentically Barbadian Christmas memories.
Correct.
Now, I want to double back to something that you said, and you know, we kind of skirted past it.
Right.
Very quickly. You talk, and you said you're very open, which you are online, about your challenges with depression and really struggling and battling with depression. And then you mentioned how coloring helped to get you there.
Right.
But kind of, you know, bring it together for us in terms of how you were able to make that connection and say, move from a place where this is helping me and I want to offer it to help other people.
Other people, right. So I have PCOS, and I was diagnosed with depression more than 10 years ago. I've tried many things, and well, you know, you cope. But as I said, therapy is one of the things. I know a lot of people in the Caribbean probably don't believe in therapy, but I do. And I have a very nice therapist. She's very social. She's on social media a lot. She has a very great presence on social media. And when she recommended the coloring, as I said, I used to read a lot, and that was kind of my escape from the real world. I decided to try the coloring and see how it would help me focus. With the coloring, you relax. It takes you, it's just like the reading, it takes you into a state of relaxation, and you just find peace. So
you wanted to offer that to
I wanted to offer that to other people as well.
After the break, we explore how we are spreading the word about Barbados with the world.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
2024 was a year to share all the ways we're showcasing Barbados to the world. Gary and Chelsea from KMFM Radio in the UK and Cedric Lynch of the BTMI's UK office shared their experiences visiting Barbados. Talk to me about this relationship again, Cedric, because I know that for many years we've been bringing stations here to take in a lot of what we offer. Sunshine, sea, fun, sun, and you know, broadcast from here. They're on air from 1 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference to 5, and then you guys kind of came on air and came off air and came on air. So talk to me about the relationship.
Well, every 2 to 3 years we do a little promotion with Adventures in Radio. They're involved with the stations across the UK. So we'll say to them, well, we want to do a little promotion on Barbados, and we want stations from this area, that area, from where we have like good feeder areas for the flights and for good potential business. So this year we had a set, we got 7 to 8. We bought 7 stations this time, and this was in association with playing with the number 7 for 70 years for BA celebration as well. Normally we bring like 4 or 5. So this was good. It was a good way to get the Barbados story over and across the whole UK. I think the only place not represented on this trip is Scotland.
Wow, Gary with 2 R's.
Yes.
Was it a hard sell for KMFM to come to Barbados?
They had to really twist their arms to come out here and sample it, obviously, but we really believe that our listeners would appreciate it. So we've gone out on a limb and we've decided to come to try and sell it to them. It's going to be difficult, obviously, to try and offer them a prize to come here and stay at the Hilton and enjoy 7 nights of luxury with white sand and the blue skies and the palms and the leafy inlands to go and enjoy the scenery and meet the people and the music. Obviously difficult, but we're trying our best.
And it's your first time here too, Chelsea.
Yeah, it is.
So talk to me about your initial thoughts of Barbados.
I think every experience we've been able to have so far has just taken my breath away. That you have an expectation of an island, of a place, and you turn up and you never expect it. It never quite fits, but it's not just like a film, it's beyond that. Whether, like we said, whether it's the beaches, the sand is whiter than white. The ocean, you can see right to the ground. We saw a turtle on the first day. It's just, this place is magic, and the people are magic as well. They're just so warm. They're like a warm hug as a person, and I think that's what's really blown me away, especially literally from day one. It's been phenomenal. I feel very lucky to be here.
The Honourable Ian Gooding-Edgell and BHTA Chairman Javon Griffith joined us from the World Travel Market 2024 to discuss Barbados' successful representation at that show. The theme for the World Travel Market Barbados Pavilion is We Gather in 2025. And of course, we know that this year-long celebration is meant to showcase the essence of true Bajan culture through various forms. So, Minister, talk to us about how you are sharing Barbados with the world with that as a backdrop.
Well, thank you. What we're doing here as we meet with our travel trade representatives and all our travel trade partners, we are actually promoting regathering. It's going to be a year-long celebration, parish by parish. It gives visitors as well as Barbadians an opportunity to immerse themselves in the culture that we have on offer. We are fortunate that we have an excellent showcase, indeed a variety of persons who will be invited to Barbados to participate. We also have a wonderful opportunity for those of us who are present here to share the success story of Barbados. So we, along with our travel trade partners, are actively promoting Regathering as a year-long event. It's going to be fantastic, and based on the response so far, we have a number of iconic places in Barbados, for example, Oystons, that demonstrates the immersion in terms of how we blend locals with visitors, and also the sustainability aspect of it as well. So I think we are in for a wonderful 2025, not only in respect of what we're doing on the hotel side, as Javon indicated, not only what we're doing in terms of our airlift opportunities, initiatives into Barbados, but generally trying to build out opportunities for Barbados to grow and expand its tourism base. So we are very excited as our partners.
And I know that, Javon, you spoke about all of the new projects set to come on stream later this year and into 2025. There are certain directions that the world global travel market is going in. We're hearing a lot more about people interested in villa services and, of course, interested as well in Airbnb and things of that nature. How are you working, especially being exposed at the world travel market to maybe some of these services that are offered in other places to ensure that we stay in step with what's happening across the globe and can deliver on these services here in Barbados?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, here on stand this year, there are about 24 trade partners from Barbados present on stand. And this year, we actually have a record number of members in the villa market who are right here on stand. So we have Blue Sky Luxury, we will have Altman Real Estate, we will have Allen Real Estate, and they will be able to speak to the tour operator partners to show exactly what new products they have available coming on stream. And this, of course, will supplement the hotel accommodation which the destination has. So they are able to be here every day, meeting with our tour operator partners, meeting with travel agents, and just persons who are coming on stand to learn more about Barbados and all the accommodation that we have to offer. So I think they're well poised to get that message across in trade this year by being here in London, present at World Travel Market.
The BHTA culinary team celebrated their success at the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association's Taste of the Caribbean competition. I'm going to start with you, Dijon, because you here showing off. I mean, you're really flossing with these prizes, man. Tell me about them.
Well, the awards that here is the Caribbean Junior Chef of the Year, and also the Handshank Commemorative Award for the most indigenous dish utilizing ingredients. All
right, so let's start there. Most indigenous dish utilizing local ingredients. What did you present?
So the dish I would have presented was a Bajan marinated pork loin, basically a sweet potato croquette with different stuff. We use red herring, bacon, cream cheese, all these sorts, textures of carrots, and also the sauce would be from the same pork as well. And yeah.
What does it mean to you to be named Junior Chef of the Year?
It means a lot. It means a lot, but I know this is just only the first step. I have to continue on my journey, but it means a lot.
Yeah, are you going to make a chain to like put them on so you can walk around with them?
Definitely not.
Like that all the time?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
You absolutely should. I'm going to ask Chef Adrian now if he remembers ode to who? Who used to walk with a big clock around his neck?
Mr. T?
Flavor Flav, man.
Who?
Come on.
I know Mr. T.
Yeah, so congratulations to you. You know, just overall Team of the Year award for you, Chef Adrian. You know, what does it mean to you, this win?
It is great, and not only for me, for the young generation, and looking at the youngsters here. After all the hard work, that 3 months of training, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at the Hilton, the bartenders would have gone over to the O2 Hotel. I want to say a special good morning to my management team, Coach Damian Leach, my assistant manager, Javon Cummins, and my mixology coach, Mr. Rohan Hatshaw. Good morning to them. They did a fantastic job working individually with these youngsters here and pastry. But we are elated to be back with the Caribbean Team of the Year title.
Oh, that's really beautiful. So again, congratulations on your silver medal and title as Chef of the Year for you as well. So tell us about the dish that earned you this amazing recognition. You guys wouldn't share anything last time you were here. You thought that people might have been watching so that they could get in on the secrets, but now the secret is out. The Barbados team is the best. So what did you prepare?
For my dish, we actually got steak. So we had a messy basket consists of chocolate and plantain, different things. So we had to use, I actually did red herring ball. What your buddy? You see him? Red herring. Pickled carrots, pickled veg, and a shrimp paste. Yeah,
and you know, the competition itself, talk me through it. What's it like?
The pressure was real. The pressure was actually real. My first time actually doing it, so actually my first time. So as Adrian told me, it's actually a lot of pressure. So.
Yeah, but once you were finished, were you? Did you have that level of confidence standing there seeing the other chefs from other places, or were you thinking, my goodness, I could have done something different? You know,
of course.
What was going through your head?
Of course, but regardless of what happened, I was still nervous at the beginning and at the end, regardless.
Yeah, and once you guys heard that you would come out as the top team, you know, what was the feeling like for you?
The feeling was actually good, especially with the team members that we have, especially Cassidy, Adrian, Dojon, Rakina. It was actually a good experience.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I know it was a big effort from the team. There was much preparation going in, and it most certainly paid off.
Definitely. It didn't matter at the end of the night when we were awarded that title, especially Caribbean National Team of the Year. The amount of work that we put in it didn't matter anymore. It was worth it, well worth it.
All right, talk to me about the actual competition itself, Rakina. I know for you, you were a little apprehensive in some areas based on what you shared with us, but what was the actual event like?
The actual event was very informative. We had seminars that we had to go to prior to the day of the competition. On the day of the competition, the nerves kicked in once it was time to compete, but I overcome that and I put my best foot forward.
Now, you couldn't reveal all the ingredients. Couldn't tell me everything was sequestered. It was like this big secret. No, what did you prepare that got you past the line?
I prepared a play on a coconut rendition using indigenous fruits from the island. I would have used jamun, I would have used scotch bonnet, cilantro, and sorrel to bring a dish together that represents what I feel about the island.
I know you told me about the scotch bonnet. You hinted at the scotch bonnet. I said scotch bonnet in a dessert?
Yes.
Yeah, how long did it take you and the team to be able to kind of pull this together, to fuse the flavors in a way that it was pleasing to you first? Because you guys have to be comfortable with it before you present it to the world.
It took, how long we were
Training
training?
was like 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah.
So it took 3 months to come up with the dish that we would use to take to the competition. And in the last stages of training, the team would have obviously came together and pitched ideas and created the Indian dish, which would have took to the competition.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers
Thank you.
for the team.
Thank you.
We also had Dr. Janice Remy, Director of the Sridath Ramphal Center for International Trade, Law, Policy and Services, who underscored the importance of focusing on the trade and sustainability agenda.
The importance of trade.
Yes.
Let's first lay that on the table. A lot of the times we take for granted that we can go into the supermarket and there are a lot of imported products there and we could just take something up and run with it. But we don't consider all the other factors that come into play for us to be able to get these products and access the services that we do.
No, absolutely. I think trade, there's a legacy of the word trade that people usually associate it, not necessarily with a positive image. When you think of trade, often you think of the World Trade Organization, and a lot of the narrative around the World Trade Organization is that it hasn't been kind to smaller economies, that there's this big case involving the United States and Antigua and Barbuda from the early 2000s where the Antigua and Barbuda won this gambling case, but the United States has not to date sort of complied with the obligations to fix its measures or its laws. And so I think there's a lot that we need to unpack. The trade discussion now is very quickly merging into sustainability, because increasingly we're thinking about how not just do we, as you say, go to the shelves and see imported goods and even like benefit from tourism, because that's a major export service of the region, but we also are much more concerned these days about how trade is trickling down, who is involved in the trade, the value chains. Are women getting greater opportunities to be part of that as e-commerce? We think also about sustainable services. So in the Caribbean, agricultural services, are we utilizing methods of farming that don't do an injustice to the environment? How is trade impacting these greenhouse gas emissions? How do we ensure that we are more climate friendly when we think about production methods? And if you just turn on the television, look at this big fiasco we had in the Baltimore port. When a ship is impacted or impacts an infrastructure that way, who is impacted? How do we get the goods across the borders and on maritime shipping services? The Houthi rebels, how is that impacting the price of goods all the way in this part of the world? So I think people are becoming increasingly aware of how integral trade is to everyday living. And I think the climate agenda is making it really front and center, especially in our part of the world where we have to not just think about how we meet our climate goals under the UNFCCC and our climate obligations, but how do we become, and this is the challenge but the opportunity, how do we utilize environmentally friendly ways of integrating our economies into the international global value chains?
Coming up, a father's appeal that tugged at the hearts of our viewers when Morning Barbados 2024 Review Part 2 returns.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
One of the most impactful interviews of 2024 was with Ryan Yearwood and his beautiful daughter Amaya, who urgently needs a liver transplant. This story garnered the most response from our viewers.
Amaya is in need of a liver transplant. So I'm going to start with you, Dad. Talk to me about when you first found out that Amaya had a challenge with her liver.
Well, it was from a very young age, only 11 months. We had taken her to a hospital visit, normal checkup and everything. And one of the nurses said, why is her eyes that color? And we were saying, well, she got pretty eyes, in being young and knowing how having our daughter, me and Sherry Ann Holmes, lately deceased. Where we were too a little skeptical, and we asked her, well, could you look into it first, because we are not so familiar with that, but we think she has pretty eyes. Oh man, no, her eyes look a little, the color of her pupil, or her oval is looking a little yellowish like. So on that key, she took her initiative and ran some little tests, asked some questions, and that's how we found out then that Amaya was suffering from this disease.
What has the journey been like so far? You just mentioned that her mom has recently passed. So my condolences on that as well.
Yes, struggling with Amaya for the last 7 years. It wasn't an easy ordeal. Sometimes you got to get up late in the night and console her. Sometimes you got to jump up and rush her to the hospital, because, you're seeing blood coming from her nose or vomiting up, or, and it's very, frightening and painful. So plus this is a disease that is rare too, so it's like you can't make any exceptions. You have to jump and go at the split second call whenever she has an ordeal like that.
All right, so here we are now, where you're in a position where Amaya needs to move to another level to be able to help her. She needs a kidney transplant, and we're going to talk about how you're working, a liver transplant rather, and we're going to talk about how the charity is going to work along with you. But tell me how we got to this place in terms of where we are today, asking to be able to make this happen.
Well, when she was diagnosed, they had told us, with a disease like this, an ailment, that some children don't make it till at least 3 years old or so. But they took the initiative and did a Kasai procedure, which is, taking away wherever, if the blockage or if the space is not there, to go to the liver to help the liver empty the bile from the bile duct. Then they will have to make a pathway where the bile can come out. So the Kasai procedure was to do that. So that buys some time till the liver transplant could be done. But seeing in the journey, the liver transplant was really a tricky situation, because you have to fly her out now of the island, where somebody that is more medically educated in that field could do the procedure. So the hospital team was trying to get her some sponsorship from the hospital to try to deal with the situation, but apparently they had to utilize that for a more immediate case. So after understanding that and knowing that, Amaya's condition is not getting any better, it dawned on me. I lost her mom last year, along with a daughter as well, and I don't know if that took a toll on mommy, but to see that is very painful, and mentally it could as you in a disturbing manner. So I took my initiative and said, we got to try to get up and push to get Amaya the help that she needs. Because I can't take to see another loss like that.
I commend you for that.
There are many observances throughout the year, but one that really stood out is World Alzheimer's Month.
Good morning to you, Dr. Ines Springer. Wonderful to have you with us.
Good morning. So good to be here.
All right, just wanted to start by extending our humblest condolences to your late past president, Pamela Burton. I would have interviewed her on numerous occasions, and I know that the cause was near and dear to her.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so very much. She was a definite advocate, and we want to ensure that her legacy definitely continues and we continue to spread the message so we get more persons aware of what they can do to improve the quality of life and to really take care of persons who have dementia and Alzheimer's.
All right, so talk to us about what kind of brought your interest in this particular area.
So for me, it's personal. It was my mom. I want to say about 7 years ago, we recognized some decline. But I was overseas at that point in time. But mom had a way of being able to mask it. So we just thought, just like a lot of persons, that she's getting on in age and having some decline, and even when things didn't make sense, we kind of found a way to be able to justify it. So that's where my interest really started. But when I returned in 2021, end of 2020 into the beginning of 21, that's where we really realized that although the diagnosis of vascular dementia was being placed on the table, we were not really fully embracing of it because mom didn't want to accept it. So it's at that point that I really, and the rest of the family really got invested in finding out more about it. And that led me to the Barbados Alzheimer's Association. And that was one of the greatest decisions that I made. And it really did help with the care of my mom, because we decided we were going to do that ourselves rather than transfer some of that care. Unfortunately, she passed last year, but we recognized that based on the signs that that was inevitable. So that is a personal
that has put
experience.
you now in a position to be able to share with and help other people in turn.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that personal road, as they say, hits different when you walk it.
Tell me a little bit about your membership. Are there a lot of people who are a part of the organization? I know most organizations are always actively looking for new membership, but how is your membership made up?
All right, so our membership is just like other associations. Persons join pretty much with a story like myself. May not be your mom, but some type of family member or friend. And what we have found is after that person, unfortunately passes, the level of dedication and commitment sometimes can be wavering, because life happens. Although we have persons on the books, we are still very much making a call for new members. And what we are also making a call for is persons of the younger demographic, because we want to be able to have continuity. And we are seeing that dementia and Alzheimer's, it has that multi-generational impact. So we have in terms of our governance architecture, we have our executive membership, where we are committee, where we have the president, the vice president, we have our PRO, or secretary, treasurer, auditor. So that's at the other level. And then we have our floor members, where those would be the general membership. And that's where we're really making a call to see if we can have, a greater input from across the breadth of Barbados, but also a particular call for young persons. And why I'm saying that too is because, and again, I'm coming from a personal experience, so I understand this. I shared the caregiving with my nephew. Persons may say nephew because you would not consider a male, and definitely not a young male, to be able to, have that, because it's very emotional. So if we have a space where we can support the younger persons to help them understand what the conditions are, then they too can be advocates, not only in for their peers, but also as part of their homes as well. So it's a general call for membership with a focus on the youth as well.
We also marked World Hearing Day.
What I have here is an audiometer. This is a portable one. The one like in my office is not portable. There's all different types. This is specifically what we are using for the screening program in the schools and wherever we're doing screenings. We'd love to do a demonstration. Okay. So If this was a child, we let them know, hey, we're playing a fun game. We're going to put these headphones over your ears and you're going to hear some beeps.
Okay.
And when you hear those beeps, I'd like you to raise your hand.
Okay.
All right. So they're going to go over your head just like so. It feels a little tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've been somebody who's worked in radio for
Well,
many
that's true.
years, so I'm
True.
telling you now, I'm sure there is some hearing loss because anybody walking into my studios, trust me, good music, but loud music.
Before you actually begin, and I'm happy that you made the point, right? Because when we look at the data globally, trying to understand, for you think about our jobs, and we don't think about the connection with exposures, repeated exposure on the job, and the impact it can have on hearing. 1 out of 5 persons globally can have some amount of hearing deficit. 5, there are how many, if you think about the persons in the studio?
There are 4 of us here.
So
Yeah.
someone, right? And that brings it down to reality, thinking about what it means for you. But yeah, back to you, Mariela.
True. Okay.
Okay, we're ready?
So I'm accustomed to headphones, but not like this one. So every time I hear the beeps, I should raise my hand?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right.
No, that's not a beep. Oh, those were beeps. It's like a whistle.
Yes, it's
Okay,
like a whistle.
It's a whistle, people.
That's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Good. I'll do a nice low one. Okay. Hey, that's pretty good. That was down at normal. So
And it is something to celebrate, because you're celebrating that fullness of what is health.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Let's
that
get
is
these off
beautiful.
of
How
you.
about that? And it's that simple.
Yeah.
That simple.
It truly is that
How
simple.
about that?
And International Day of Persons with Disabilities was a special occasion on Morning Barbados.
So, Sharice, let's begin with you. The NUSB's youth group is relatively new. Tell us about the inspiration behind the creation of the group.
Whilst looking through the organization, it was realized that young people, they face many challenges based off, inexperience, I should really say. They're still trying to find their way through life and navigate it with a disability. And so therefore we thought that we needed our own space to come together to empower each other and share our stories and grow and, live.
So what brought you, Sion, to the group, the National United Society of the Blind? How were you able to kind of hear about the group and become a part of the organization?
To be honest, the group kind of seeked me out because I lost my vision about 3 years ago, and a doctor, Dr. Francis at hospital, told me about the group, but I never made an effort to seek it out. But then a member called me. I think it was Pedro that called me, and then after I talked to Carrie Ann, and she was teaching me how to do stuff again, like using the computer and phones and stuff. And then from there, she invited me out, so I came to a couple meetings. From there, I joined.
Sharice, you spoke about young people being blind. Tell us about some of the challenges you face and why you think a specific youth empowerment group is important.
Some of the challenges faced by the young people are low self-esteem, and mainly because they feel segregated and tossed aside and alone, basically trying to navigate these uncharted waters. We also have the challenges of education and employment and social life as well.
Absolutely. Now for you, Yudli, you've been around for quite some time. I think we first met with you coming here to CBC to do a radio program. So you've been pretty much exposed to, what I would call the real world for the most part for a very long time. You're also the first visually impaired social work graduate in Barbados. So, flowers to you on that, just for a moment. But talk to us about how things have changed in our society based on what you've been able to observe through the years because, you know, these young people are here with us now, but you certainly have been around for a little while longer.
Yes. Thanks, Tisha. I think because, as you correctly said, and also Sharice has also pinned it, that me as an older person would have gone through certain life experiences, while the younger people know how to experience some of these things for themselves. Correct. And the changes have really been significant in many ways. Over the years, we've seen a change in attitude. So more and more Barbadians are open to supporting people with disabilities. They're open to giving the individuals with disabilities an opportunity to participate in education, in access to better health care, employment, that those doors are beginning to open a bit more. And generally, just giving more encouragement and support to the Barbadians with disabilities. So I think those changes are extremely positive. There's still a lot of work to be done because, like me right now, I'm preparing to participate in the Run Barbados 5K on Saturday. And my trainer, Dr. Tonia Nichols, she was or is encouraging me to participate in the marathon. Now, to do that, it means that our roads need to be a bit more accessible. So access is still one of those big areas that we need to make a big priority. And not only the roads, the transportation system, you know, we need to really join those two and make them top priority. So it allows people with disabilities the freedom to move and independently do many of the things they want to do.
So you talk about preparing for Saturday's big event in the Run Barbados. Tell me, what was the inspiration behind getting involved? You've always looked fairly fit. But
just fairly.
Is it that you have always been interested in sport?
I've always loved sports. I've tried my hand as a student at school with the hurdles, with high jump, long jump, you know, and I always enjoyed running. There's a feeling that any person who runs experiences, but it can not be described with words. Words are not adequate, because when you run, there's a sense of freedom, there's a sense of calmness, you know, just a oneness with the world. And I always enjoyed that. And after my vision worsened and I was unable to run, I would walk extensively. And then as my vision got even worse, you know, I would encourage and implore people to run with me, and people would say yes, but then I think they got cold feet. Yes, wondering, you know, if I get an injury or something happens. But last year, Dr. Tonia Nichols participated in a marathon in Canada, and she saw blind people running the marathon. So she came back all enthused about encouraging a blind person to run. And of course, I put up my hand. But then when I recognized that Run Barbados, I would have been overseas at the time. So I said, well, next year, God willing. And that's what happened. So I'm really fussy about it.
Next year's this year.
Next year's this year. I am fussy too. I most certainly have never seen it. A blind and guide is what is called. So that should be a very interesting run.
With the increase in fires on the island this year, we leaned heavily on our partnership with the Barbados Fire Service to keep fire safety top of mind.
We have brought out some apparatus that can help us keep our homes secure. So I'll start with you, Officer Rivera, to tell us all about this. And we've all heard about smoke detectors. Yeah, so how do these work, or how should we keep them?
So what I have here is a smoke detector, and these can be placed on the ceiling or a very high wall in your home. And you can have them on all levels, have them outside the kitchen, not directly over the stove, but away from the stove, and have them outside bedrooms, corridors. That can also work. Depending on what you're doing, you may want to have the detector in the room, on the wall or on the ceiling. So we have one here, simple operation, and they open, they carry a battery. This one is designed for a 9-volt battery, and it has an ionization chamber, and here you will have the alarm sounding. So what happens, there's a little orifice where the smoke gets in, and as these smoke particles get in, then it disrupts the electrical currents that are taking place, and here we can't see them. And as long as those particles clog up the chamber, then it sends the signal to the bell, and that's where you get your song going off. And it's very piercing, it's very apt, it's very adequate. Especially if it's silent, you can hear this, even if you're on different levels, you can hear this throughout your home.
It's important that you change the batteries, guys, because there's so many people with smoke detectors and they kind of just do like the George Foreman grill, set it and forget it. And you have the you have the smoke detector there for years. So how often should you check your smoke detectors to make sure they're working?
Well, it actually gives you a notification if you forget. So it is going to be annoying little beep, beep, beep. So you'll hear that. But there is a way to check it to see if your smoke detector is working. And even if you get the alarm going off when you check it, so you just press and hold and it will sound off. So you might get the alarm sounding off, but then you get the beep, beep to say that your battery needs changing. And maybe you can check them every 6 months. Well, every month if you're really into your fire safety, you can check your detector every month to make sure that it's working. And then listen out for that beep, beep if you don't have a regular time to change your battery.
All right, good stuff. And now we have some smoke detectors. Are all of them smoke detectors, she said? No, that's over here. Some fire extinguishers. Are they all the same? Do you have to buy a specific one based on the size of your home, or if it's an operation, for example? There are a lot of people who kind of work from home. They have a small shop. They do cooking and stuff like that. So let's talk about the requirements for maybe a residential property as compared to one that might have some commercial activity happening, and then moving to smaller commercial entities and what the requirements are.
Okay, so fires are classified differently based on what is burning. So there are 5 main classes: ordinary combustibles, flammable liquids and gases, electrical, metals, and commercial cooking media. So not all extinguishers are the same. They're built according to the type of fire they're built to extinguish. So what we have here is a carbon dioxide extinguisher and a ABC dry chemical extinguisher. So this is built to extinguish Class B and Class C, which would be flammable liquids and gases and electrical. While this can be used on ordinary combustibles that you would find in the home, like paper, plastics, the carpet, etc., and also flammable liquids. So you have your alcohol, your gasoline, your diesel, and also electrical fires. So let's say, for example, one of your cameras or your TVs started to burn, and it was electrically energized, meaning that it was connected to the electrical outlet. You'll be able to use one of these 2 extinguishers on that particular fire. But bear in mind that there are also water extinguishers. Now we know water is a conductor of electricity. So if we're speaking about the camera that's burning and we can see that it is still electrically energized, you will not use that one because it doesn't fall within that classification for that type of fire. So it really comes down to what is burning and having an idea of basically your surroundings and the types of media and stuff you have in your surroundings helps you to determine which type of extinguisher you will want for your particular environment. Now in the home, if you look at any typical home, most homes carry things that are of ordinary use. You may have some gasoline, diesel at home as well for your lawnmowers, the weed whacker, for the cutting of grass, and predominantly within the home, because of all the devices we have, for sure the potential for electrical fires is there as well. So this extinguisher, for example, which is a multi-purpose extinguisher, is best for the home because it covers a wider array of classes that are found in the home. But generally, depending on commercial, home, or any environment, you really make a determination of what are the things you have in the environment, and that gives you a better understanding of the type of extinguisher that you need. And these come in different sizes as well. They go up to about 30 pounds, and this goes up to about 9 kilograms. This is actually a gas, while this is expelled as a powder. And they're checked. They're supposed to be checked annually, and there should be properly mounted and accessible to everyone.
This year also marked the centenary of Shirley Chisholm's birthday, and the island celebrated in a major way. Erica Hinkson, project coordinator of the Shirley Chisholm Project Committee, and Rihanna Smith, assistant coordinator of the Barbados National Register of Historic Places, shared all about the activities planned to honor this legendary second-generation Barbadian.
But the Division of Culture is embarking on this Shirley Chisholm project. If there's anyone who's just tuning in, Erica, bring them up to scratch.
Yes, so the Division of Culture thought that this was a very important project. It falls under the national mandate to really get out information in terms of education, inspiring and celebrating our own. So trailblazers, born and raised here in Barbados, who've gone on to do incredible things across the globe. And this year, Shirley Chisholm is being honored because her birthday actually falls on November 30th. She would have been 100 years, so that coincides perfectly with our independence. She grew up right here in Vauxhall. The school was renamed in Vauxhall, the Shirley Chisholm Primary School. And of course, she was the first Black woman in Congress in the United States, first Black woman to run for president. So today we're just going to chat a bit about the remaining initiatives, and Rihanna has a lot to share as well on some exciting community engagement we'll be doing with the primary schools.
All right, good stuff. Go right ahead, Rihanna.
Yes, so, yesterday we started. On November 12th, we took the students of the Shirley Chisholm Primary School out on a tour. The tour was designed and guided by local historian Claudette Levi Farnham, who wanted to focus in on the aim of highlighting the places of significance that existed when Shirley visited between 1928 and 1934. And so we took them on a tour to the area where we believe is the spot of her maternal grandmother's home. And then we made our way around the areas of where Wotton Plantation would have been, where Kingston Plantation would have been. And then we took a visit to the Christchurch Parish Church and to the graveyard there. And then we made our way back to Newton Burial Ground and Adams Castle. It was great. The children enjoyed it. They especially enjoyed the Chase Vault when they visited Christchurch Parish Church. And they also really appreciated the observation of reading the graveyard and seeing, how you could tell which class is buried where, and, having that peek into our heritage.
We are now a republic. That means revisiting the relevance of our tangible and intangible heritage. Professor Dwayne Devonish and Dr. Chelston Brathwaite, members of the National Emblems, Symbols and Celebrations Advisory Committee, struck a nerve with our viewers as they discussed the purpose for the committee and the importance of reviewing and making recommendations for Barbados emblems, symbols, and celebratory practices.
It's important for us to consider that we've transitioned to Republic in 2021, but that transition is in status. There are still many things in our society that are in transition and lagging behind that status. Now, as you are aware, that the government of Barbados has set up committees for reviewing the parliamentary process. There's a committee set up for reviewing the Constitution to ensure that these things are brought in alignment with our Republican status. Now, there's one dimension that is critical, and that encapsulates our national emblems, symbols, and celebrations. These are important devices that bring us together as a people under a common national identity. I believe the Cabinet of Barbados saw it necessary to form this national committee, and is an advisory committee, which means that we're here to provide recommendations on the basis of public consultation. And I'm going to let our deputy chairperson speak a bit more on that. But the entire remit is really to look at where we are in terms of important devices or emblems like our flag, our coat of arms, our anthem, our pledge, even things like, do we consider cocoa and flying fish still our national dish? Probably having a consideration as to whether we should have a national sport, a national drink. These are all important things that are core to us as a people. And I think as anything evolves, we too must evolve as well.
All right. How important is it now as a republic to be able to kind of expand our offering or maybe cast the net a little wider to include some of these other things that Mr. Devonish is talking about?
Well, let me say how pleased I am to be here and how pleased I am to be a member of this committee. In a real sense, I see these emblems, celebrations as critical parts of our development. I always maintain that the development of a country is a journey. It's a journey of progress. It's a journey that has to be understood in the context of change, a changing world in which we live. And as we change, we need to review, relook, determine whether the things that we do are still relevant and whether there are new things that we should take on board in order to, I would say, consolidate our national identity. And I think that these are some of the things that are engaging the attention of the committee. I think the cabinet, in its wisdom, established this committee to look at these things and determine how do we move forward. Are the things that we do today, the emblem, the national anthem, are they still relevant? Are they still the things that we should be doing going forward as a republic? And I think this is important. I always say that these are the foundations of our national identity. When we go abroad and we say we are Bajan or we are Barbadian, people want to know, what is that? What does that represent? What are the things that are characteristic of your country? And I had the unique experience of being ambassador to China between 2014 and 2017 and having to represent my country in China, the People's Republic of China, provided me with a unique opportunity to relook the emblems, to relook the characteristics of my country, because what mirror image do you present to the Chinese? What is it that you say to them, I am Barbadian, I represent my country? And I remember being there and having the opportunity to look at Barbados from that distance and recognize, at least at that time, there were 10 things that stood out to me as being very important. And one of the things that stood out as being important for us was our national anthem. Our national anthem, when it is played in foreign lands, people are amazed at the beauty of the words and the music. I remember several ambassadors in Beijing saying to me, you have a beautiful national anthem. I admire the national anthem of Barbados. And I think it is things like that that become symbols of our existence, symbols of our identity, the words, the music, the effort that has gone into making these things the foundation of our development. And as we move from the colonial status to Republican status, it is necessary to determine whether these things are still good, whether they should change, and what should we do going forward.
Absolutely.
And so I'm indeed pleased to be part of the committee.
Up next, we highlight more of our exceptional youth. You'll want to stay tuned for that.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Time to highlight more of our outstanding young people. They take center stage on Morning Barbados. Zahavi Small and Tashina Yassin came to the show to tell us all about their journey in learning a new language. That took them as far as China to participate in the Chinese bridge competition.
Tell us a little bit about how you heard about this initiative and got involved.
Okay, so I have always liked languages,
and different cultures. So I noticed my mom wanted to get me into the classes. So she noticed that UWI posted that they would be doing Chinese classes for people within a certain age range. And unfortunately, it was older than me, but I decided to apply anyways. And I was accepted into the class. So I am currently at level 3, but I heard about the competition last year while I was in level 2. And I was originally supposed to participate, but I was scared, so I backed out. But I decided, I'll participate again this year. And by the grace of God, I got through and I won.
Congratulations, that's excellent. What about you, Zahavi? How did you hear about it?
Well, so first it started with my classmates voting for me to go into the Chinese competition that our teacher told us about. So after that, I did my best and I came out successful.
Yeah, how has it changed the way you interact with people and talk at home and the things you do and look at?
Well, it's fun to learn new languages because I like their culture, their food. I love everything about them.
All right, and for you, has it changed the types of things you like, look at, how you research Chinese culture a lot?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And there is a language app that you can use to interact with people that know the native language. And I've used that, and through that I have made some good friends.
Let's talk about the competition itself. Was it difficult at all?
I personally wouldn't say that. I was very nervous. And then when I get nervous, it's hard for me to be in front of a lot of people. So sometimes I might tend to forget. But, I practice a lot by myself. And it went quite smoothly.
For you?
Well, I was a little nervous, but my teacher helped me and she let me understand it very well, and I did my best, and I came out victorious.
What are some of the things you had to know and do to come out on top of this competition?
Well, we had to, there was a talent section. So basically you could do anything for that. Some people did calligraphy, somebody played a song on the flute. I sang a song from a drama that I watched. We also had a section where they asked us questions about
so it was sung in the language?
Yes, in Chinese.
All right. Was it difficult for you to learn the song? Because singing a language, I am told, is a little different from writing or speaking.
I would say not quite, because since it was from a show that I liked, I would watch the show about 3 times. So I often heard the song and would listen to it a lot. So I picked up on it. So it was just to actually look at the lyrics and get it word for word. But I definitely knew the chorus, so it wasn't as hard for me to learn.
Are you going to sing us some of it for us today?
You really want me to?
She doesn't want to, Zahavi. What about you? What did you do?
So we had to do a self-introduction in Chinese, a question and answer segment, and any talent in Chinese culture. And I did singing for my talent.
You did singing as well?
Yes, please.
Watch this, Tashina. Are you going to do a little bit of your introduction for us and some of the singing, Zahavi?
Yes, please.
I know! So, the younger ones always do. All right, so go.
Self-introduction. 你好，早上好，我叫Zahavi Small。我今年9岁，我来自巴巴多斯的 Charles F. Broome 小学。我和我的爸爸妈妈和弟弟住在一起。我的爱好是游泳、打篮球和跑步。我是汉人1年了，我可以用1首童年指导诗。0、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10. And that means in English, hello, good morning, my name is Zahavi Small, I am 9 years old. I go to school at Charles F. Broome in Barbados. I live with my mother, father, and brother. I like to swim, play basketball, and run. I have been learning Chinese for 1 year, and I can count from 0 to 10 on one hand.
All right, excellent. That was really, really good.
Young entrepreneur and creative Jesse Olton came with his mom and sister, who shared how his business, Jesse Productions, is promoting the core values of faith, literacy, and anti-violence among youth through its innovative products.
Take us from when you decided this is what I want to do
until you were able to kind of, how were you able to convince mom that she should support you in moving forward with this initiative?
Well, when I originally brought the idea to her, she said we could do it, but there was going to be some rules. Like, it would have to have a focus, which after a while was chosen to be on God. It was literacy, endurance, and faith. And since then, she has been my biggest supporter with my sister, and it has gone up very much.
So what are some of the things you wanted to be able to brand, for your particular business? I see you've brought along a backpack, for example, but where did the idea start? Was it just like T-shirts, or were you thinking complete clothes? Where was your mind then?
Well, it was basically on shirts, but then, like, in recent years, it started different things. Like, the bag was in working for a bit now, and they finally get it out. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Mom, talk to me about when Jessie came to you and said, hey, I want to have my own clothing line. What were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking, oh, wow. That was the initial thought. But then I recognized, this is a moving world and children were online. So they were seeing different things. And initially his idea was based on something he was watching. So I said, okay, we got to make it on something that we believe in. And that's where we started with faith. And as the years passed, we included literacy and anti-violence, all the things that are very critical to what we need now in our Barbadian society.
All right, so I know for you, Jera, you help a lot, but a big part of what you do is support for Jessie. So tell me about, how you support your big brother.
Well, I support him by last year I made a design for the shirts.
Okay. So you're helping in more than moral support. They didn't give me the full story. You're part of the design team?
Yes, please.
Oh, that's beautiful. Tell me about the design you did.
Well, it was had a lot of detail to it.
A lot of detail. I love that. What were you thinking, Jessie, when you saw Jera's design for your shirt?
Well, it was actually a good design. The colors had changed a bit, but altogether, it was actually really good. And if she could do that, she could do a lot of great things. The design she made was even better than the one my mother made.
A very outspoken and well-spoken Caleb Brathwaite announced his presidency of the Barbados Youth Development Council and shared about his hopes for the organization and participation at the Small Island Developing States Global Children and Youth Action Summit held in Antigua and Barbuda.
So, oftentimes when people are given the opportunity to speak about their journey, they often highlight that of the positive. But my journey to being the president of the Barbados Youth Development Council, the National Youth Council of Barbados, was not an easy journey. If you want to put it in a Barbadian parlance, it was filled with many potholes. So I could even go as far back as secondary school. In secondary school, was never that perfect student. I was not even that a student, really and truly. And to this day, I would have recently graduated with my law degree, and come September, be doing my master's in law. And in secondary school, I guess I was still somewhat vocal. I was always that student who, if I disagree with something, I'm going to say I disagree with it. But of course, still provide that solution, and still just don't be rude in it. Be diplomatic in your responses. And I always recognized from at a tender age that I had a greater purpose, and it was always somewhat service oriented, always looking to help, always looking to try my best to see how best can I assist others, given the fact that I had the ability to do so. So coming out to secondary school, I would have attended the Barbados Community College, and while studying, I would have obtained an associate degree in law and government political studies. In my second year at BCC, I would have joined the Students Guild, At that time, I would have served as Director of Communications at the BCC Students Guild. And that is really, truly my service-oriented journey would have started. Whilst serving as Director of Communication, I would have founded my own charitable youth organization called the Belfield Youth Council, which is located in Belfield, Black Rock, and which caters to the positive development of young people as well as community empowerment. Actually, come Sunday, will be 5 years since I would have founded that organization. And through that, what I would have done is I would have registered the Belfield Youth Council under the Barbados Youth Development Council. And that would have been, as I said, about 5 or 4 years ago. And since then, it was always service-oriented, always looking to give back, looking to see how best can I assist others. And what would have happened is through that journey is that I would have recognized that I look at the youth development space in Barbados, and I recognize that even though that our country is punching above its weight in relation to youth development, that is the truth. Because I would have had the opportunity to go to the 10th Commonwealth Youth Ministers meeting back in London in September, and I was sitting around the room in the secretariat, and you hear all of these ministers from Ghana, ministers from Canada talking about all this work that they have to do. Barbados already have this established youth development system, but is it working for us as young people? No. Is it as effective as it ought to be? No. And I would have put my hat in the ring to become president of the Barbados Youth Development Council under a mandate of Better Together to see how best that collectively as the Barbados Youth Development Council can transform the youth development space to ensure that it's better for our member organizations.
So talk to us now about your experience with that particular summit.
The Four States Conference is a conference that's held every 10 years. And I would have had the opportunity to go to represent Barbados not only at the Global Children and Youth Action Summit, the Children and Youth Part, but also at the main conference. And as I said already, it is always good to be able to ensure that you add your voice to every single thing that you do. So while at the States conference, we would have done a 10-year commitment call to action document. Young people, we would have reached about 8,500 people in terms of consultations. So it's a document that we would have consulted online and in person. Barbados actually had the first opportunity to host that first in-person consultation and to really help guide the other consultations which would have followed. And this 10-year commitment action document is basically, young people understand that they have challenges. And what we would have done is that we would have actually highlighted those challenges and come up with solutions and to be able to present it to world leaders at the main Forces Conference. While in Antigua and Barbuda, we were there for 3 days, and we would have really dived in terms of pictures, because not only were we presented this 10-year commitment action document, but what we would have also done is look at creating projects to be able to help various funders to help us as young people to actualize these projects.
Law student at the Norman Manley Law School, Timothy Roper, made quite the impact as he discussed his journey and accomplishments and shared how his mother inspired him.
When I was much younger, I was very inquisitive. And you know, people always say, if you're inquisitive, then you should automatically become a lawyer. So that was one reason. My mom is also a lawyer. She studied at Kville, and I kind of wanted to follow in her footsteps. So she kind of served as a really strong inspiration for me. So that was another factor. I was also very involved in student council back when I was in high school. I attended the Arden High School in Jamaica, and I became the student council's second vice president. And it was just amazing actually representing the students, hearing what they had to say, relaying those thoughts and concerns. So that was the third factor. And the final factor would definitely have to be I chose Cape Law in sixth form, and I fell in love with Cape Law. At first, I was considering even going to civil engineering because my dad is also a civil engineer. But then as soon as I did my CSEC math examination, I was like, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with math. So math was out of the picture. And then when I chose Cape Law, I had an amazing Cape Law teacher, and I just fell in love with the law at that point.
Oh, that's beautiful. You've already selected the area of law that you'd like to go into as well. So tell us more about what kind of guided you in that direction.
Okay, well, right now, Norman Manley Law School is kind of all-encompassing, so they teach us a little bit of everything that we would need to know if we choose to go into a particular niched area of law. I particularly like public law, anything to do with public law or administrative law. I love public policy, and I also have a very strong interest in legislative drafting, so I think I definitely want to go into drafting. But I've been kind of dabbling a bit in employment law because that's my mom's area of specialization. So I do love public law and anything that deals with legislative drafting, administrative law, but I also do have an interest in employment law as well, which is what my mom focuses on.
She graduated top of her class at UWI's graduation 2024, and we had an opportunity to sit, albeit online, with Naomi Cambridge. She spoke about her achievements, including the delivering of the valedictory speech, and she told us how her podcast, Notes and Quotes, has helped shape who she is.
What did it take to be able to make it to this place where you are valedictorian for your graduating class?
Oh, a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. And I guess kind of the cliche stands, sleepless nights, breaking my back over different things, lots of multitasking, and a lot of support is the biggest thing, I think, for me. Yeah.
So what motivated you to pursue a career in or pursue a degree in international relations?
Yeah, so to be completely honest, I actually initially wanted to do international development, which I know is not too different, but I wanted to do international development overseas. And as the saying goes for everybody not everybody, but lots of people who really try to go overseas for university, it really is very expensive. So I had to go to the University of the West Indies right here in Barbados. And I wasn't happy at first because my dream was, snapped in half. But then I realized it was the best thing for me. And I fell in love with international relations, the world of it, the, nuanced ideas, critical thinking, the debates, everything is such an intricate, really thick degree that has so many layers. And I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Into the world of sharing through a podcast. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'd love to. So in August of this year, August 20th specifically, I launched the Notes and Quotes podcast. And it's really targeted at those in probably age ranged 18 to late 20s, but really and truly anyone that wants to listen. And what we really do with the Notes and Quotes podcast is it's supposed to be fundamentally at its core a community, but a community that really enriches the people who are in this age range. So in your early adult years, which tend to be a really turbulent and stressful time for people. And I wanted to give back to people who might be struggling that time, make it relatable and have them understand that they're not alone. But I think one of the most important issues and things that I wanted to do with that podcast is to make sure that whilst doing that, I'm also educating and informing people and enriching their minds on issues that are really important. So whether they be social justice issues like climate change, representation, whatever, or also mental health issues, which is another big one we talk about. Those are the ways that I wanted to be able to enrich people's minds. But like I said, at its core, I want it to be a community where people feel connected, inspired, and really seen, because fundamentally, that's what anybody else wants in their life. They just want to feel seen. And that's what I want the Notes and Quotes podcast to be.
Stay with us as we meet extraordinary personalities who share their journeys, expertise, and unique perspectives with us in 2024.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Welcome back. I'm Tisha Hines. And as we prepare for the new year, we're taking a look back at some of the most impactful guests that graced the CBC studios this year. Social media influencers and content creators featured heavily on Mornin Barbados this year. Brand and media consultant Matthew Future Ashby sat with me to talk about his successful podcast and journey in entertainment and media.
You're online with this, in an online space with gems with friends.
Gems from friends.
Gems from friends. Tell us how that started and how you were able to kind of bring it to fruition.
Well, honestly, I could sit here and I could probably think about an intelligent answer for that, but gems from friends is from God. That's the truth. When I got into video, it was placed in my spirit that stories need to be told, and these are people I admire, and these people need voices, and people need to hear these stories, and this is just something I need to do. And as much as I try to put it down, forget about it, it keeps chasing me. I tried doing other projects, and this idea just keep haunting me all the time. And then so I started it way before, before the pandemic, for instance. But I was never in front of the camera. I was always trying to hide from the camera and just put my guests on the camera. And then a voice was like, no, we need you there. So then it was like, okay, so I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and going in front of the camera and then presenting it anywhere that I am now.
Yeah, so, how has it been received?
It has been received very well, much more than I anticipated, to be honest. People across the globe has been messaging me and saying that they're really enjoying it, they're binge watching it one after the other, and that gives me the energy to keep going.
Yeah, what do you expect of your guests in terms of, because you talk about sharing and sharing openly and how you were inspired to come in front of the camera, maybe to be able to draw a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, what are your expectations of the interviewees?
Well, my expectation is just to be very authentic and just be raw and real and share those escape stories. The escape stories is, I'm talking about, when you are in like an unfortunate situation and you found a way out, it's good to share those stories so that it helps people to understand that their problems are not unique. Other people are facing these, and you can get some tools and so on from these people, so yeah.
Macario Maynard won Graphic Artist of the Year at the 5th Annual Guynon People's Choice Awards this year, and we celebrated big time with him.
Right, that's good stuff. Now you've been kind of literally honing your craft and doing well through the development of the business, but you also got formal training as well through BCC. Talk to me about that.
That's another thing, I think that God talks to me through people around me, really and truly. So this lady at my church, she told me that I should try and get my papers in graphic design, not knowing in my mind that that is actually something that was possible, that I can actually get a degree in graphic design. So I went around looking at UV, they didn't have it. I looked at BCC and I said, yeah, they have the bachelor in graphic design. So I applied for that, not knowing that I had to do something else first, which would have been the associate degree in visual arts, which is basically a prerequisite. So that is what I just completed, and once I'm successful in September, I will be going on to do the bachelor in graphic design.
That's excellent. Talk to me about some of the work that you've done through the years that you've been thinking, oh my goodness, this is so good. Did I do this?
Well, that's the thing. I never took my own horn, as the people would say. I don't really like to do it. Sometimes I do sit down and say, yo, Macario, you do that. But I just stay humble all the time. People will tell me, yeah, you hard, you this and that. But it's I know trying. I know trying to do all those things, really and truly. But some of the people I've worked with, when I sit down and really look at it, I just ask myself, how did I get here? Because this was never my path. In my mind, I was thinking that I would be doing computer engineering or mechanical engineering or something, but not knowing that graphic design would be my path. It was literally written in stone for me, to be honest. I remember what really pushed me to really stick with graphic design. I was in a meeting with my youth group from church, and we had to do this personality test online. So you have a certain amount of questions and you have to fill them out, and then they will give you some result at the end. And I think it was the whole topic for the discussion was career paths or what's not, and what would go good with your personality. And when I got the result, I went on Google and typed in what jobs would be good for this personality, and the first thing that popped up, graphic design. I said, okay, all right, cool. So I would continue with that or what's not. And I never stopped, never looked back.
Dr. Kofi Cough Syrup Chase is making quite the impact online, and he spoke with us about his funny skits and his immense popularity.
Talk to me about how you developed this character, I mean this entire skit, going with, of course, the Marley. You're definitely going with the theme, with the hat as well.
Of course. I have to stay in uniform. Well, who is Marley? Marley is really, how would I describe it? Marley is every unmarley Bajan person I have ever met combined into one, right? So every time I come across a situation where I felt they've been, treated in a way which I think is not right, I kind of just internalize it and then I put it back out as something else. So, every skit that you see Marley in, that's something that has happened to me at some point, and usually is when I call it like a government office or something.
When did Marley first, step on a stage or perform for the limelight? I'm told that this character came kind of shone through while you were studying at UWI Mona, and you got bitten by the bug of wanting to perform.
No, well, not this character in particular, but I really started performing maybe from when I used to go to school at Harrison College. There was the drama club that I was in, led by Dexter Johnson. I don't know if he's still around. But yeah, from there, I guess that was just the starting of it. Then when I went to UWI Mona to study, in between going to classes, there was lots of stuff going on. The University Pop Society, the Classical and Jazz Ensemble, both very great groups. Things like the Rex Nellifer Hall Band and Choir. I used to, I was all part of that. And in addition to that, I would also go out we would like form like bands and go and perform at these jams, like out in the town or whatnot. The jam that's every Thursday. I don't know where it is now, but it's in Jamaica. But yeah, I used to just any time I could find to go and perform at something, I would be there. I would just be there. I would still go to my classes, mind you, but I made sure to always put myself out there and try to perform.
For those people who don't know where to find you online, go ahead and tell Barbados so we can continue to support this Marley Brute, which is you.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can find me on youtube.com. That's youtube.com at Cough Syrup. You can find me on TikTok, Cough Syrup. I want to make sure you're spelling the cough syrup right, not cough, but Koff. Oh, look, it's there on the screen. You can find me on Spotify as well. You can find some of my music. It's there on Spotify. I'm also on Instagram at Cough Syrup. So that's cough_syrup on Instagram.
All right, you're excused.
Excuse me? What? You can't. I don't know what I tell you, but that's my line. Bye-bye.
Oh, that's your line. I'm not allowed to say it.
No, you are excused.
No, you
are excused.
You are excused.
Content creator and influencer Kira P joined us live on set to discuss her journey online.
Talk to me a little bit, for people who are just tuning in, about your journey with creating content online and really just bearing your soul, because you share just about everything.
Yeah, I think it started as like my personal diary. So like I wanted to share things for me to remember, because I forget a lot of things. So the way I document it is really for me. So like in 5 to 10 years, when I want to look back and see how great was my life, I could actually go back and see these videos that, showcase how it really was. And I struggle with ADHD, PCOS, a fibroid, and I just like to live life. I'm into makeup, fashion. I just wanted to show it all. I think with content creation, like before I got into it, I saw a lot of people say you kind of had to have a niche and you kind of had to focus on that. But because of my ADHD, I really can't have a niche because I'm so interested in a lot of things. So I really like how I'm able to do that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you really are are sharing in some areas that we don't often talk about.
Yeah.
Quite recently, you've been sharing about your struggles with PCOS as well.
Yeah.
So to be able to advocate in a way that we've not done before,
Yeah.
most certainly as Barbadian women,
Yeah.
these are things that are usually kept under
because
covers.
Since I started talking about it, like I know people in my family or like my daughter's family that have fibroids, and the treatment that they've gotten here specifically is like it's not seen as that important for women to get it fixed. I think they see a period as, oh, you know, women get it every month. How bad could it be? But with fibroids, it can be so horrible. The pain, the discomfort, the level of blood loss. So like recently I had to get a iron infusion because of how much blood I was losing.
And even that was a challenge to be able to get it done.
I had to fight for that. So, and it was very emotional for me because I felt like I was at my wit's end with it. And I was like, you know what, I can just give up at this point. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But here you are at home.
With energy.
and we know about all the shoes and all the things you shipped home and, you know, picking out all the outfits.
Yes, yeah. This was actually an event outfit, but then it was like, well, Mornin Barbados called, so I'll find something else for that.
Rhea Cummins Jordan spoke about her win at the regional fashion design competition in Havana, Cuba, and her work as a fashion designer.
All right, so 16 designers from 11 countries took part in this particular competition. I want to hear all about the journey.
Oh, the journey was hilarious because I honestly forgot I applied for the competition and then I got the confirmation email for the competition, and it was a bit of a panic. But then we pulled it all together and it was 5 looks and I won. The competition was a great experience. It honestly did not feel like I was competing because we formed such a lovely family and bond as competitors. So it really felt like it was just like a get-together for creative people, and it was lovely.
So it was staged outside of Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prep for a competition? Did they give you a competition like this? Did they give you the parameters under which they would have been judging you beforehand?
Yes,
Once
they
you
did.
got there, did you have to kind of tweak things to make sure that you could deliver on what you needed to? You know, how did that side of things work out?
Well, for that side of things, it was a little nerve-wracking because you don't have the advantage of being at home where if I do need to tweak something, it's as easy as me, you know, jumping into it. So I first started by choosing my strongest, what I would assume would be my 5 strongest pieces. And then I whittled that down to 3, and then I created 2 completely new looks for the competition. Then when I got there, my only challenge was that one of the pieces now kind of was not allowed because it was a little too risky. So luckily for me, I had walked with additional pieces from the collection and I just substituted that one. And that was honestly my biggest obstacle because I really liked that piece. So I kind of was beating myself up a bit about it, but it worked out in the end. We had the guidelines, we knew what they wanted. There were not many rules. They just wanted us to show the similarities throughout the region and also be socially aware because we're trying to be a lot more eco-friendly as we go forward within the fashion space as well.
Barbadian Tula Taylor, now living in the U.S., shared how she transitioned from the Marine Corps to unmanned systems lead.
How did you determine that you were going to go into the Marine Corps?
You know, I wanted to go into the military, and I initially wanted to go into the Air Force. Air Force recruiter was not there, so the Marine Corps recruiter snagged me up at the age of 17, and I did 20 years. So I just I retired at 37 for like 3.5 years ago, and started a new career.
Oh, that's beautiful. What was your experience like in the Marine Corps?
With everything, you have its ebbs and flows, but overall, I think it was, because I went in at such a young age, it made me who I am today. I developed really good work ethics, and I mean, I look back at my Marine Corps career and all I can do is smile and be proud of what I did.
Well, can you give us 1 or 2 highlights? It certainly is interesting, first of all, to see a lady from the Caribbean but more specifically, someone who left Barbados at such an early age, go through the Marine Corps to the point where you're here sitting telling me you're retired.
I am retired. Well, I was air traffic controller in the Marine Corps, so very unique opportunity. But I want to say my biggest accomplishment is how many Marines I impacted, how many strong female leaders I developed over the years. So my retirement gift was a big wine barrel, and it said Master Sergeant Tula Mama Bear Taylor, because I always took care of my cubs.
Oh, that's excellent. You've moved into another area now,
Yes.
still working with the Department of Defense. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so now I moved into a Department of Defense contracting for the Navy, and I work as an unmanned specialist for a research and development lab called RESTORE, which stands for, wait for it, Reverse Engineering, Science and Technology for Obsolescence, Restoration, and Evaluation.
What do you do?
So I am the unmanned specialist because of my knowledge of airspace. So I work with I work with quadruped drones, and we're actually looking into surface and subsurface drones. So we're going into the water. So definitely a lot of cutting edge technology at the labs.
We also celebrated one of our own, Anmar Goodrich Boys, for his big win at the Caribbean Sports Media Awards.
How does it feel to be acknowledged in this way by such a prestigious body?
Yeah, as I started feeling really, and you mentioned being recognized for my work. I was very surprised though that I won the award. I'll tell you this, Tish. Obviously, there's such good journalists throughout the region, and obviously I knew that I had a chance, obviously being a finalist, but to actually win, I think it speaks volumes to the level of journalism that we continue to produce here in Barbados, especially at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. I do say this all the time, and you would know it is a learning experience for me, transitioning into broadcast. While I did do my internship in 2016, I spent an extensive period of my career so far in the print, obviously working at Barbados Today and the Nation Publishing Company. So my transition into broadcast has been an exciting journey where I continue to grow and develop, and I just see myself continuing more as I go on in the profession.
You get a chance to cover so many events, as you mentioned, both at home and abroad. Are there any events that really stand out in your mind when you look across all of the events you've been able to cover throughout the years?
Yeah, Tish, obviously, I think it's any sports journalist's dream to cover the Olympic Games, and I was really wowed back in 2021 when I got that first opportunity to cover the Tokyo 2021 Games. And, it really opened up my eye in terms of international broadcasting and international journalism. I mean, yeah, we do a great job here in Barbados, but this to me was going to another level, working with, some of the best sports news anchors, some of the best production teams, and then having the accessibility to interview some of the biggest names in the world, the likes of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, Mariela Paulino, Armando Duplantis. These are just some of the names that I would have been rubbing shoulders with as of recent, Noah Lyles. So it really opened up my eyes in terms of, what sports journalism is on the global stage. And, I just hope that I can continue to go on step by step, continue learning and continue getting these massive opportunities.
That's beautiful. Now, you had an opportunity to travel to the Turks and Caicos for the awards ceremony. So talk to us a little bit about that and what it was like getting ready for them to announce the winner. We want to hear all of it.
Well, it was really an exciting weekend. Obviously, Turks and Caicos were preparing for the passage of Hurricane Oscar. So it was entertaining in that aspect as well. At one moment, I thought I was going to have to put on my news hat and give us a report, really. But no, seriously, in terms of the awards ceremony, I would say it was very well organized. The Caribbean Sports Media Award was the second award to be announced. So I sat there. I won't lie to you, Tish. I got a bit of nerves in my tummy before they announced the award. But, as they were announcing the accolades for the other nominees as well. You know, I sat there and I said, you know what, Amar, you've done a lot and you've achieved a lot. And I really thought then that I had a really good chance.
We go shoulder to shoulder with the parish independence committees. So when the ambassadors from St. Lucie won again, we had to have them in. Sade Ben and Omari Giddens and their attendant Damien Bishop made it 4 consecutive wins for the parish when they captured the coveted Most Outstanding Parish Ambassadors and Attendant of the Year awards.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You guys said that you were taking it back home to St. Lucie, and you meant it. I mean, come on. Most Outstanding Parish Ambassadors for 2024. Congratulations to the two of you.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Damien, you are Attendant of the Year as well. What is in the St. Lucie sauce? I mean, you guys have been taking these titles for quite some time now.
Good morning, Tisha. Good morning, Barbados, and a wonderful good morning to the people of St. Lucie. What is in the sauce? Ingredients. Ingredients are in the sauce. There's nothing special to what we do in St. Lucie. We just stay committed. We are dedicated to the task and to the assignments, and we always put our best foot forward when it comes to the Spirit of the Nation show.
And it most certainly is paying off. Omari, what was the experience like for you?
Oh, it was actually amazing. It was like surreal. I actually enjoyed every moment of it because it was like the icing on the cake for me. So it was like all our hard work went to a good place.
Yeah, last time you were here, Sade, you guys got to talk about what you were doing in the community, but then that's kind of eclipsed in getting ready for the on-stage presentation this morning. You're here clean-faced, but the face was beat. So I know, it kind of takes a different shape than the community work. So generally, how do you feel about everything you were able to do on the stage the night that really was the culmination of all the community work and all of the other things that you had to put together?
I felt proud. I felt grateful for the opportunity to represent St. Lucie with pride. And it was a fun and very exciting experience.
What would you say was your proudest moment in terms of the presentation? Because you guys have to do a number of things on the night of the show.
Well, my proudest moment would be public speaking for me because I was more of a introverted person. I wouldn't really speak out as much, but getting my guidance from Miss Lynch, our speech Toastmasters, right, our personal trainer for that, she helped me to grow in confidence, and I then was able to stand up and do what I needed to do.
What about you, Sade?
Just like Omari, I had my struggle in public speaking, but before Miss Lynch had taught us what we mostly did not know, I thought I knew everything. But then I heard there were other things then I have to put in there and then leave out certain things, and we made sure that we learned it and we took every bit of information.
All right, and you certainly applied it to this winning sauce that he's still not giving us the ingredients.
After the break, we'll be taking a look back at some of the unforgettable musical performances this year. See you in a moment.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
All areas of the arts and entertainment kept us smiling, deep thinking, moving and grooving, both on and off screen in 2024. Timon Howard passed through as we continued to highlight the rise of the spoken word art form.
He was a good boy. But was he a good man? Or did he lose his way like Peter's boys in Neverland, forever swimming endlessly in vain against the sands of time's quicksand, forever swimming in one place?
Jazaria Chandler lit up the studio with her steel pan. Flautist Keelan Richards brought it with a cover of Rihanna's song Diamonds. We also had several vocalists on the show this year. Alicia Aline.
It's my love has come along.
New artist Dawn.
You like this again. What's so hard for you to comprehend? Feeling like a fool. Said it's over, but I'm still here standing like a joker. Oh, my girl said be careful cause you're not nice, and I should have listened to their advice. Gave you my heart and you broke it twice. Gave you my trust, now I pay the price.
Rising star Harmony Haynes.
And now, when all is done, there is nothing to say. You have gone into effortlessly. On your own, you can go ahead, tell them all I know now. Shout it from the rooftops, write it on the skyline. All we had is gone now. Tell them I was happy and my heart is broken. All my scars are open. Tell them what I hoped would be impossible. 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 Oh, impossible.
The seasoned Risa Garnes.
The journey's long, but we keep fighting on. Holding firm, yeah, we got to be strong. Step by step, one day at a time.
International star and still the only local artist to perform a duet with Rihanna, Dwayne Antonio, also was here for Christmas.
The trumpets sound and the angels sing, a new king's born today. Man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day.
And recruit Aaliyah Trotman wowed us on sax with a cover of This Christmas. Hey, stick around, because next we're diving into some of the funniest moments of Morning Barbados in 2024. Get ready to laugh.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Who could forget the fun times we had throughout the year? From dancing with Ghana's Afrobeat sensations Afronita and Usher One Baby, to surprising moments like Dennis Sobers turning me into a rock star, the fun never stopped. I had quite the time. Firstly, I played lots of cricket, and I dare say I was quite good at it too. Not only did I beat the creator of the first ever board cricket game at his own tabletop version of the sport, but I also took on Taher Bulbulia and Shawnee Smith in studio and showed them how the game is played. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Early in the year, while we were still at Standard, Ghana's Afrobeat sensations Afronita and Usher One Baby tried to teach me how to do some traditional dance. I can't boast too much about this, as my two left feet showed up. We were all in the proper mood too, and soca artist Stabby was just one of the artists who showed me some moves. We also were ecstatic to meet the winner of Mornin Barbados Best Summer Photo Contest, Anastasia Bernard.
Congratulations, thank you.
Jamaican reggae artist Anthony B and I had a fun time on the couch. And you don't often get to see the team working behind the scenes, but food sometimes lures them in front of the camera. So our official taster from the Mornin Barbados team, Everton Brown, accepted the difficult job of devouring a massive burger prepared by none other than Chef Michelle Maloney Smart of Smart Meats. The team also held their own and had loads of fun when Team CBC challenged the Standard Distribution crew to an Easter egg hunt. Guess what? Standard won. Trevor Pretty, who brings lots of artists to Barbados every year to raise funds for the HIV Food Bank, made this year no exception. He came through with quite a few of them who are signed to Pretty Boy Worldwide, and boy did they have a great time during our Independence Day show. There were also a few surprises for me. The team conspired with inventor of a style of sculpting called Lapiscalpo art, Dennis Sobers, to surprise me with one of his sensational creations. Now, I'm truly a rock star. And producer Nadia Foster enlisted the help of the crew at Ansa Motors to surprise me for my birthday. I am still in awe at that. And that wraps up the Best of Morning Barbados 2024 Part 2. As we say goodbye to this incredible year, we extend heartfelt gratitude to you, our viewers, contributors, guests, partners, sponsors, and supporters. On behalf of the Morning Barbados team and the board, management, and staff of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, we wish you and yours a joyful, prosperous, and healthy new year. Thank you for making us a part of your mornings, and we look forward to sharing more amazing moments with you in 2025. See you next year.
But when they come to the ordinary class, this is the way how them does laugh the head. My belly! Oh my! I'm on
to you.